Hey there, I am Tony Hixon, CEO and 90s rap aficionado. Who writes these intros? I don't
know how that got in there.
But I actually am a 90s rap aficionado. I'm Gen X. I could probably rap the whole Vanilla Ice song right now. Ice Ice Baby. You want to hear some of that?
Please.
Would that be more interesting than talking about tariffs? Probably not. Tony Hixon, CEO at Hixon Zuercher Capital Management, joined by
Jordan Shaw, I'm a wealth advisor at Hixon Zuercher Capital Management, and I know very little about 90s rap, so learn it all from you.
Well, good. We are here today to give you a market and economic update for the month of June, looking back at the month of May. So, have you seen Oppenheimer?
Yes.
You like that?
Yeah. Nolan's
he's a creative
director.
Yeah. I have that when they're stomping their feet. I have that in my brain sometimes, like the foreshadowing of that through the movie. It's kind of weird. The whole idea there is the plot was, kind of twisted and fun to follow throughout the movie, as is the markets. So for the month of May, the S&P 500 just had its best month since 2023. That's a couple of years ago. So it's been a fun ride, and it's best May since 1990. Were you alive in 1990?
I remember the history books talking about 1990 way back when.
I was in my prime in 1990. I was rapping away.
Hence the rap.
Best May since 1990. At the same time, the index has posted one of its worst starts to the year since the 50s. So even though the month of May was pretty good, the actual year-to-date 2025, not so great, especially when compared to international stocks. So global stocks are doing quite well, and it's one of its widest gaps. So international markets are up 14%. S&P is basically flat for the year. It's one of its widest gaps since 1993. Again, all these references to the 90s. I'm digging this. This is pretty fun.
And the 50s. You remember that?
Not quite. We'd have to call Scott Miller, our life coach, for that one.
Right.
He remembers those days pretty well. So, that's kind of an explanation of what happened for the month. From that standpoint, but what dominated the news headlines was
the tariffs, obviously, still all over the news. Most notably in May, there was a 90-day pause that was agreed upon with the U.S. and China. The whole hope there is to pave the way for some more negotiations, as is the case here. The 90 days, the market's like that. That's a long time. A lot can happen in 90 days. I remember when I trained for my first marathon, it was a 90-day training plan. So you can go from couch to marathon in 90 days.
Is that a recommendation?
If that's what you're up for, go for it.
That's your goal. Go for it. 90 days from couch to marathon. I've never run a marathon. I ran a half marathon, and I swore to myself I would never do that again. So that's a long way to run. How did you do?
Yeah. Well, pretty good on the first one, enough to want to do it a couple more times. Good. And I did not so well on the next one, but I didn't train as well. So it's what you need. You need that 90 days.
You need that 90 days. You need that 90-day pause on tariffs. You need that 90 days to run a marathon. Yeah. It'll all be good. The issue with tariffs is you just don't know what tweet that President Trump will be sending out. So it's really hard to create an investment strategy around what will happen there. But we do know that the markets do tend to cheer the pullback of tariffs over time, and that's what caused May to have a pretty favorable month. And as we head into the summer, we expect more of President Trump's tweets to come out with more new pauses and new knowledge and new thoughts on what he might be implementing with the tariff regime. But someday this will all be behind us. It'll be a momentary blip in history.
That's right.
And the tariff war will be over. So I'm looking forward to that day. So.
This is why I don't have Twitter, because I don't want to steal from Trump's fan club. Everyone would go to.
For sure. I would definitely follow you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You'd be my one follower. Now everyone's favorite part of the video, perhaps, is the Florida news story, and we can't go without highlighting some fun activity that's happening down in St. Augustine, Florida recently. The second annual Florida Man Games. So if you didn't know that was happening, this is year
Florida
2 of this.
Man Games.
Florida Man Games.
Allowed to do that in 2025?
That's true.
That just seems like toxic masculinity right there.
Well, the whole the Florida man thing. Yeah, you don't really hear much about Florida ladies.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be the next news story of the month. We'll find one. But
what happened at the Man Games?
Well, after last year, they were told they had to tone down some parts of the Florida Man Games, which is not surprising in the least. And this year you can compete, or teams did compete. Perhaps next year, if it continues, you can compete in events like the evading arrest obstacle course,
Okay.
the weaponized pool noodle mud duel, and my personal favorite, hurricane party prep grocery aisle brawl. So that sounds like a ton of fun.
Indeed.
And then the champions from last year won a second time. Team Hanky Spanky is what they chose to call themselves. Hanky Spanky.
Are we allowed to say that on video?
I was told with maybe a few disclaimers that I can
Does this go through compliance?
It should. Absolutely.
Right. So Team Hanky Spanky won this thing, huh?
Yep. And they won $5,000, so it's not nothing.
Yeah.
If you can compete in those events. But
for some reason, I think there's better ways to earn $5,000.
Yeah, like stay invested in the stock market, maybe.
Great point.
I don't know.
Great point. Indeed. All right. Well, as we look forward into the month of June, all eyes are on the inflation report, which will come out on June 11th. And right now, Bloomberg consensus would be that inflation will be at 2.5% for the month of May. So the price of goods up another 2.5%. That's not the goal. The goal that the Fed has stated is that inflation should be around 2%. And so the expectation would be no rate cuts. And we know there's this tension between President Trump and our Fed chair, Jerome Powell, where Trump wants him to lower rates, and Jerome is just not seeing the data that he needs to start cutting rates. Because once you start cutting rates, it brings back growth to the economy, which could actually be more inflation. So rates will likely stay as is.
Yep.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll find out about a week after that inflation report, the Fed meeting. And so about mid-June, we'll get some more data. It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting for sure. So, well, in spite of all the tariff talk and inflation reports and tweets that are sent out on a daily basis, what are you advising your clients to do during this time of volatility?
Well, a lot of craziness, a lot of headlines, but it's the same advice. Stay calm. Stay invested, stay informed, stay tuned to what's happening, but stay calm as a reaction to it, for sure.
Yeah. And we'll flash up an infographic here from Capital Group. It's talking about a 10-year time period going back to 2015. You were alive then, right? You were good. Yep. If you put $1,000 into the market back in January of 2015, a 10-year period, and you stayed invested, you stayed calm, stayed invested that entire time, you about tripled your money. So that's no joke. But if you had gotten concerned and maybe pulled your money out when there's been a large downturn in the markets, and you just missed because you were on the sidelines, you missed the 10 best days during that time period, that investment would have been cut in half. You'd only have $1,500. And off to the right, you missed the best 30 days or the best 40 days. You actually have less money than when you started with. So to Jordan's point, stay calm, stay invested, trust your advisor. If you don't have an advisor, please let us know. If you have any questions about your portfolio, please give us a call at 419-425-2400 or send us an email at hello@hzcapital.com. This is Tony Hixon and
Jordan Shaw
bringing you the June economic and market updates. We'll see you next time.